How's it going, everybody? We are working on the 6.7 Cummins again, and this should be, well, one of the last major repairs. This is not an expensive repair, but it is time sensitive and time consuming. Time sensitive because it wasn't supposed to rain, and it's threatening to rain, so I got to get this done quickly. What are we doing today? Well, we're fixing the killer grid heater problem on all these trucks. I think the 5.9s had it too, but the 6.7 for sure. What happens is there's a bolt that transfers the power from the grid heater relay across through a power wire, and there's a bolt that goes through and it goes to a bus bar. Well, what happens is the bolt shorts out, melts, and that piece of slag goes into the motor, into the intake, and ends up in the number 6 cylinder and blows the motor up. This is probably the number one thing you read about these motors, and it is not blown out of proportion. A lot of stuff you read on the internet is guys parroting things they heard or they read, with a lot of diesel problems, but this one, I'm going to say this one's warranted, at least in my experience. I can't speak for everybody. Anyhow, let's go under the hood quickly and I'll show you what I've ripped apart, and then let's look at the grid heater. So basically I've ripped off everything. The air horn, here, I'll turn this off because LEDs. Okay, I've ripped off the air horn, which is here, the intake, the top of the intake plenum. All my fuel lines, notice my injectors are open. I kept those all covered, and we'll recover them before I put this back together. So you want to be really careful when your fuel system's open. You want to make sure that there's nothing that gets in there. Do the best that you can. I vacuumed out the intake and we're rocking and rolling. Took me about an hour to rip this apart, so I'm hoping I can put it back together quickly, quick enough to put my fuel system back together, because it is threatening to rain on me, and if I would have known that, I wouldn't have done this today. My truck does not fit in my shop. So anyways, let's go to the back of the truck and I'll show you the grid heater and what mine looks like. This truck has 347,000 on it now, so I've put about 5K on this truck. Well, I'll just show you guys. Okay, we're at the back of the truck. I guess I'll have to throw this stuff in the shop. I spent the night outside because I was doing baseboards and trim and painting. And here, I'll move you guys in, right in here. Getting my fireplace done. Fireplace is 100% done, put back together. I'll have to shoot a little video and show you guys. Okay, so this sits, as you were looking at the truck, this sits like that, okay? Intake horn goes here. Now, this is the grid heater. What this does is, power goes through here. When you turn the key on, power from the relay goes click. When the intake temperature sensor senses that it is cold out. How cold? I'm not sure. I notice mine tend to cycle only when it's below freezing, okay? So, power through here. The power goes through this insulated bus bar, through this screw, okay, right here. Transfers through this bus bar, through here, okay, and energizes this. These glow red hot. That way, when you turn the truck over, it heats the incoming heat or air, gets the cylinders warm, and gets it to fire. Now, if you live in a warm climate, you don't got to worry about this, because, well, your heater will probably never work. If it does, it'll be very randomly, or, you know, what a lot of guys do to fix this is they actually do a grid heater delete. They rip this off, they cut this out, or they actually get a new plate is what it is. They get this plate and it doesn't have the grid heater, which they say gives more airflow and that. I'm not really concerned. I think this truck runs just fine the way it is. I guess if you're making horsepower. Okay, so what happens to these? Well, usually from what I've read, and again, this is my first Cummins, this starts to arc and it melts and this comes off, okay? And it ends up falling here and going down into the number 6 cylinder, which is here. Okay, now mine, friends, mine has a different issue. You see that right here? It is all burnt. Okay, it's been shorting out here and it is covered in slag. Okay, I am so happy that I found this. Okay, now my preheater, my grid heater has only worked 2 or 3 times since I've had this truck. I knew that it had a problem. It was throwing a I want to say it's like a 2608 code, grid heater, intake grid heater performance, or intake grid heater performance threshold is the code. Okay, it's throwing that code only when I preheat it. Now, what I've been doing is I just start the truck right away. This thing starts mint. Unlike my 7.3 Power Stroke, that thing needs to be glow plugged when it's colder out. If I don't, it pops and farts and just, it doesn't run well. It needs to be heated up for way longer. This thing, -5 Celsius, you just turn the key and it fires right up. It puffs 1 puff of white smoke, and that's that. Now, they do say these things will start with no grid heater down to -10, -15 Celsius. I don't know, and I don't want to find out, because it gets to -40 here. It gets to -30 regularly. -25 would be like a normal temp here. I need this, or this truck will be useless to me in winter. So, anyhow, friends, this right here, okay, that slag is a problem. So I'm going to have to cut this apart. Now I'm going to grab you what I bought to fix this. There's 2 ways to fix this other than deleting it. I'll show you the way I went with. Okay, what I ordered to fix this, I ordered this a while ago. It's a BD diesel grid heater kit. I'll zoom you guys back out here a little bit. Okay, comes in this box. It's been sitting on the shelf for a while. I actually ordered this when I bought this truck. Okay, it comes with everything you need to not only upgrade but eliminate any of the problems that the factory grid heater has. So it comes with a nice gasket, an intake gasket, a full set of instructions. But what it comes with is this. This bus bar is substantially heavier than the stock one. The stock one's just thin metal. And what this bus bar does is, I'm just going to open this up, friends, so that you guys can see, if I can, nicely. Okay, what this comes with is everything you need to fix this. It comes with a wrench, a Torx bit, all the fasteners. You do have to reuse a couple of these fasteners, but basically this goes here. Okay, this is substantially thicker. It should eliminate this problem where it's arcing out here. Okay, but here's the main difference. This bolt screws in to here. Okay, so now there's nothing that can fall off. This will not come off and fall into your motor. Because if this comes off, or even this slag that's here, friends, okay, this is not the common issue with these. Normally you read it's this end, but this thing right here is covered in slag and it has been arcing out. At least it appears to be. It's hard, and it looks like, okay, you can see the slag on there. So I'm guessing that that's the problem with mine. If your truck is not having problems, but you're worried about this, take this and wiggle it, okay? If this is loose, stop running your truck, or at the very least, disable this. Take the nut off so that the preheater does not work. That might get you, a day or two, or not. It may blow up, but, okay. So I wiggled mine and it was tight, but again, because I was having grid heater issues, I knew likely that this kit has not been put in here. Okay, friends, so I'm going to take this apart. I have to cut this tab off to fit this, because my truck is an 07 to, I think, 12 that you got to do this, and then the newer trucks don't have this in there. Okay, I'll hit you guys back up when I have this installed, because again, I'm working under a serious deadline here. Wow, did I get lucky? I undid this nut here, friends. That's the start of the disassembly. Look at this. That's completely melted off. So there you go. Wow. I am so lucky. That would have been an expensive mistake. So there you go. If you have one of these trucks, hopefully you're lucky like I am. Just thought I'd show you guys that. Oh, wow. I'll take it. Okay, I'm going to prop you guys up here. I want you to see this. So it's cold out now. Watch the grid heater. I'll turn the key on. Okay. The grid heater is cycling right now. You can see it's burning all the junk off. Okay, and it'll cycle for a certain amount of time, and then it'll go click, which it just did, and it'll shut off. Okay, that's what we wanted. This took a little longer than I was hoping, but it was for a reason. I had to figure out an insulator, so I used the insulator that was on this post originally. You cannot buy a grid heater for this truck anymore. I looked online and it says no longer available. So I'm just testing this to make sure nothing's shorting out. Seems to be okay. What was throwing me off, friends, is there's continuity between this, but the current has to go through the grid heater and then it's fine. So that's why I'm testing it. Anyhow, I'm going to put the intake horn on. Of course, friends, and when you're doing this, you have to take all your injection lines off. All that kind of stuff. So I'm going to throw this thing back together and fire it up. I'll fire it up one more time just so you guys get the gist. Not everybody's a diesel mechanic. Turn the key on. Okay, it cycles. It cycles a relay. The relay heats it up. Okay, then the relay will shut off. It's right there. You heard it click. Okay, and now it'll slowly cool off. That's how a grid heater works. And just like that, I should have no trouble with this. Okay, I'm going to throw it back together. Okay, well, she's all buttoned up, and let's give her a cold start. Hey guys, I got my hat off here, and I'm just doing some editing. One thing I did not mention, I had to turn the truck over probably for 30 seconds, a couple of 15-second bursts before it fired, and then it was fine. Remember, the fuel rail and lines were completely emptied out, so that's normal. And I just thought I'd mention this. If you have a diesel truck, don't be worried. It's not going to start right away because there won't be any fuel going to this injectors until you bleed the air out. So just thought I'd mention that. Beauty. Okay, I'm just going to cycle this thing and run it. Erase any check engine codes present, and I had the key on with stuff not plugged in, friends, so of course it's going to throw codes, but that's the name of the game. Anyhow, Friday night on the tailgate, or Saturday whenever you see this, good times. Thanks for watching. Take her easy. Later.